Hi everyone, this is Veronica. Today our topic of discussion is about a report that is Freedom in the World 2020. So this is a recent report, we'll discuss about it. For my video updates, you can connect with me on Instagram and Facebook because I feel together we can make a difference. Now, let's see what is the relevance of this topic in your exams. It will be covered in your mains paper too. Then at objective level, you should know about what is this Freedom and in the World report, what are the main highlights of this report. So in what context today we are studying this? See, India has become one of the world's least free democracies according to global survey, which is a very bad thing for us to know. But this is what is mentioned in this report. Now see, this is basically a yearly survey and a report by, this is important from your MCQ point of view, okay. So this report is published by US-based NGO, that is non-governmental organization, Freedom House. They have published this report and it measures the degree of civil liberties in our country, political rights with the citizens in every nation, and significantly related in disputed territories around the world. So whatever disputed territories we have in a country, they measure the civil liberties and political rights of that area also. Before going forward, let me tell you, if you are watching this video and you have not subscribed to our channel StudyIQ, then you can subscribe it and hit the bell icon so that you do not miss any important video updates from us. Now we'll talk about the highlights of this report. See, it is a yearly survey and report by US-based non-governmental organization Freedom House. So I have told you what it measures. Then this report derives its methodology from Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which were adopted by UN General Assembly in 1948. So in this report, they have covered around 195 countries awarding scores based on political rights. So they have various indicators on which they give the score. So these indicators being, for example, your election process or what is known as electoral process, then about the political pluralism, then participation and government functioning, that how the government of a particular country is functioning, and as well as civil liberties. These are the indicators related to the freedom of expression and belief, associational and organizational rights. So here the rule of law and personal autonomy and individual rights. So all these things, okay, with the freedom of expression, you have organizational rights also, then you have rule of law in the country, autonomy, personal autonomy, individual rights. So everything is considered before giving the score, making the score for a country. So talking about the highlights here, this report ranks India at 83rd position along with Timor-Leste and Senegal. This is near the bottom of the pile among the countries which are categorized as free. So we are like topping from the bottom. So India's score fell by 4 points to 71. So this is the score. Our score fell down by 4 points and now it stands at 71. This is the worst decline among the world's 25 largest democracies this year. And India has scored 34 out of 40 points in political rights, okay, category, but only 37 out of 60 in the civil liberties category, for a total score equal to 71. That is drop of 4 points from last year's score was 75, okay. But what we have seen a shock in this report, that this report is treating Kashmir. So they have mentioned the term Indian Kashmir. So this is sheer nonsense. What is Indian Kashmir? There is nothing called Indian Kashmir. Kashmir is Kashmir, but they have treated Kashmir as a separate territory, which is not acceptable to India. And however, I am telling the facts, this is not my opinion. So they have, this report treats Indian Kashmir as a separate territory, which saw its total score drop from 49 to 28 this year, moving it from status of partly. So earlier they used to call Kashmir as partly free, okay, but now they have said it is not free. But anyway, we don't have to accept that. This is just a survey, and sometimes there is always a propaganda behind this, because what is Indian Kashmir? Kashmir is an integral part of India. They should have considered it as an integral part of India. It is India. Now we'll talk about this report. What is the reason of downfall that we can see, that why our rank has not performed, why our country has not performed well? So the annulment in autonomy and the subsequent shutdown of Kashmir the NRC and the CAA, as well as the crackdown on mass protest, have been listed as the main signs of declining freedom in the report. So these three actions have shaken the rule of law in India and threatened the secular and inclusive nature of political system, said the report. So whatever I'm telling you here, these are the facts, highlights of the report, not my opinion. We will talk, I will talk in opinion also while concluding this report, but let's see what are the highlights. So this is the second. Third highlight, important highlight, is that report has slammed the internet blackout in Kashmir, terming it the longest shutdown ever imposed by democracy. But yes, we can stand with this line, because internet blackout, we are doing internet blackout on the name of national security, but then there are many other reasons responsible which threaten, which intimidate national security also. For example, there are trucks where people are crossing the border, terrorists are crossing the border towards India. So will you stop the transport? No, we cannot stop everything which is letting the terrorists come in our country. Rather, what we should do, we should increase the security, we should increase the border security, rather than shutting down the internet, because internet is very important in today's era. Your education is being affected, students needs to fill up the form, right? Your basic health facilities are being affected. Lot of things have been affected in Jammu and Kashmir from the past so many months. So yes, this is a bad thing. But then it said that freedom of expression was under threat in India. So it's not necessary that we agree with this statement also. But yes, they have said that. It has said that freedom of expression was under threat in India, with journalists, academics and others facing harassment and intimidation when addressing politically sensitive topics. So it warned that the Indian government's alarming departures from democratic norms under present government could actually blur the values-based distinction between Beijing and New Delhi. Like China, they say they are a democracy, but they are not. There is a very blurred line of difference. So they are saying that now we are moving towards the China-like policies in our country. So we are moving away, departuring away. We are departuring from the democratic norms under the present government. That is what has been said in this report. So in this report, they have said that the year 2019 was the 14th consecutive year of decline in global freedom, according to this NGO Freedom House. So they have compared the previous years. In 2019, individuals in 64 countries which experienced deterioration in their political rights and civil liberties, while those in just 37 experienced improvement. So there are 37 countries which have experienced improvements, but more than half of the countries that were rated free are not free in 2009, have suffered a net decline in the past decade. Okay, so this should be 2019. So here many countries were in spotlight. Some of the names are like, I'll just talk about India here, what they say. This is the country in spotlight because Prime Minister Narendra Modi's discriminatory actions against Muslims and a fierce crackdown on protesters opposing the changes indicated a deterioration of basic freedoms in world's largest democracy. So these are the wordings written in this report. Then they have talked about the other countries also, which I have mentioned here in the list. But then they have talked about the recommendations for the democracies also. So I'll just talk about these recommendations which are recommended in this report. Let's start with strengthening and protecting core values in established democracies. First is respect, protect and fulfill human rights at home. So attacks by elected leaders on democratic institutions, for example your press, independent judiciary and anti-corruption agencies, and on the rights of minorities and migrants, they undermine the faith in democracy around the world. So democratic leaders should demonstrate respect for fundamental norms at home by adhering to domestic legislation in line with international human rights laws and standards and refraining from the rhetoric that undermines these standards. So this is what they are suggesting. Then they said to strengthen public sector for democratic principles by investing in civic education. So to protect the freedom domestically and build support for a foreign policy that protects the democratic rights and values abroad, it is essential to foster a stronger public understanding of democratic principles, especially among the young people. So in the United States, new legislation could require each state to develop basic content and benchmarks of achievement for civic education, including instruction on the fundamental tenets of democracy. So in the absence of new legislation, the Department of Education should extend possible make funding available to states for civic education that focuses on democratic principles. And just like that, they have talked about we should fight the manipulation of media and social media. We should try to stop the fake news and the hate speech. We require social media companies to report foreign efforts to spread online disinformation or misinformation and the propaganda also, because social media companies should be required to do this regularly to target governments on efforts by foreign governments and non-state actors to manipulate public opinion and undercut democratic values by spreading disinformation and propaganda on their platforms. So, for example, they said in the United States, the government should assess which entities would be the most appropriate to receive the reports, since the information is of interest across jurisdictions. So yes, they have talked about given various recommendations to the democracies also, so that they can strengthen their democracies in their respective countries. Then they have talked like we should prevent the election interference, that electoral process should be very fair. We should strengthen the laws that guard against foreign influence over government officials, making the fight against kleptocracy and international corruption, that's the key priority. Then preventing corrupt foreign officials from laundering stolen assets through democracies. So that is what has been talked in this report. So this is all about today's lecture. If you have any queries, you can contact me in social media, and the PDF of this lecture will be available on my Telegram channel, that is t.me/Veronica_Om, or you can just search Veronica StudyIQ. Thank you. So this is the channel StudyIQ. If you're preparing for UPSC or any government exam, our pen drive and tablet courses are available. If you're preparing for UPSC CSE 2020, our pen drive course is available, where you can find 100% coverage of UPSC vast syllabus. Daily current affair updates will be available. Self-paced learning process is provided. This course has been prepared by top faculties of StudyIQ, and now you can purchase this course at ₹625 per month only. For additional information, you can visit our site, and there are the phone numbers also given. You can call them and gain the additional information. You can connect with me for my video updates on Instagram and Facebook, because I feel together we can make a huge difference. For queries, you can even email me. Thank you so much.